We'll now hear the contribution from the Minister for Education.
There's three things that you don't think that if you were in the LNP you would mention in this parliament. One is chickens, given they've got the only chicken dancing parliamentarian in Australia in their team. Two, you wouldn't say that the Premier of Queensland has done nothing when your own leader couldn't get elected 3 times. And four, what we know is that this is a deeply divided, I wrote it all myself. I know, believe it or not, women can write.
We were just speaking drama teachers.
What we know is the LNP in Queensland is deeply divided. And there is one thing that the member for what... I want to...
Members, look, the member for Callide had a pretty good go. I was able to hear his... No. My turn. The member for Callide had a pretty good go. I could hear his contribution. Minister for Education is not as loud as the member for Callide. I am having difficulty hearing her contribution. I call the Minister.
And the contribution I'd like to make is that the member for Callide talked about spineless. Well, we've seen spineless in spades in the last week. We saw the member for Warrego take the fall for the Leader of the Opposition's Chief of Staff.
Yeah, that's right.
And we've also seen, just yesterday, the poor member for Chatsworth take the fall.
Yes,
what we saw was a lack of leadership by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, who shot the messenger. He shot the messenger, and now the poor member for Chatsworth has to sit up the back there, and I don't get to see him anymore. Secondly, what I have to say to Mr. Ambition, the member for Everton, is what kind of man shoots their lapdog, who lets their lapdog take the fall. And that's what we've seen, spineless. So we enter this try-hard? Are you serious?
But she's a try-hard, you've got to be kidding.
Where's your follow-through?
Shall we get Jeff to do the numbers?
So what we've seen, Mr. Speaker, is the Leader of the Opposition, his leadership is so precarious that he's had to walk back into this parliament with the number one person that wants his job still sitting on his front bench, because he knows if he was to try to topple the member for Everton, he would lose half of his backbench. So what we've seen this week, Mr. Speaker, is a deeply divided LNP, an LNP that has no faith in their leader, that they spend all of last week doing the numbers, conniving, going around, scuttering in the corridors. Meanwhile, the member for Callide, who talks about that people don't have the spine to be here, he's booked a one-way ticket to Canberra. Don't come in here and say, we're divided. You don't even want to sit there anymore. So, there is a key difference, Mr. Speaker, between the Palaszczuk government that is getting on with the job, delivering new schools in Queensland, the lowest unemployment rate in 2 years, 7 new schools to be built right across Queensland, and an LNP that is either fighting or fleeing. We will always... Robert Schwarten was proud of me last night on the TV.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Members. The Minister for Education, before I call the member for